A single question stops Keon cold. Can I share your table? The voice is soft, almost apologetic, carrying the weight of someone who expects rejection. Keon's hand freezes halfway to his mouth, his coffee cup suspended in air. His eyes lift from the window where he'd been staring at nothing in particular, lost in the familiar ache of Saturday mornings without purpose. The corner bean is packed today, the kind of crowded that makes a solitary person feel even more alone. And this girl, no older than 18 or 19, blonde hair pulled back, one leg missing below the knee, crutches trembling slightly under her weight, is asking him for the simplest thing in the world. He's never seen her before. He'd remember. Not because of her missing leg, but because of the look in her eyes. That hollow thing, that absence. Like someone has already decided their own ending and is simply going through the motions of living until the script finishes. Keon's daughter Zoe sits across from him, demolishing a blueberry muffin and babbling about her school hamster Cheeto, who apparently tried to escape during lunch period. Zoe's voice fills the space between them like it always does, a constant stream of joy that used to feel like enough. But lately, Keon wonders if he's failing her. If a child can sense when her parent is running on empty, just trying to get through another day alone. The girl's question hangs in the recycled cafe air. Other patrons don't notice. They're too wrapped up in their laptops, their conversations, their own small worlds. But Zoe notices. She always does. Her 6-year-old eyes go wide, and she tugs at her father's sleeve, pulling his attention away from the stranger. Daddy, she looks sad. She doesn't have anywhere to sit. First welcoming CTA. And in that moment, Keon understands that his answer to this question, this simple, ordinary question asked by a girl he's never met, is going to matter in ways he can't predict. His chest tightens. He nods slowly, pushing back his chair. Of course. Please. Sit. The girl's face shifts. Relief floods her features for just an instant before she catches herself, as if she's practiced hiding gratitude so many times it's become second nature. She moves toward the empty chair, and Keon watches the careful way she positions herself, the practiced movements born from months of relearning her own body. His throat tightens watching her. This girl carries her own weight too, he realizes. Her own unbearable weight. But he doesn't know yet what that weight really is. He doesn't know that this girl, Luna, booked a room at the Riverside Motel, just 6 blocks away. A place where the clerk asks no questions and doesn't care if you leave tomorrow or never leave at all. What will happen when Luna finally tells Keon the real reason she came to Portland today? Keon lives his life in routines that feel like they're holding him together by threads. Wake at 6, shower while Zoe sleeps. Make her favorite breakfast. Scrambled eggs with the edges crispy, toast cut diagonal because she says it tastes better that way. The divorce finalized 14 months ago, and in that time, he's learned that structure is the only thing keeping him from falling apart. His ex-wife Vera had wanted different things. Better things, she said. Things that didn't include a middle school teacher and a 6-year-old daughter. She'd taken a job in Denver, and Keon had taken full custody without argument. Saturday mornings used to be different. Before the split, they'd come to the corner bean as a family. Vera would order her complicated coffee drink and complain about the weather. Kennedy, that was Luna's little sister, though Keon didn't know that yet. They'd be laughing, at some table they couldn't see from here. But grief isn't linear, and it doesn't respect the calendar. Keon comes alone now, or with Zoe, trying to reclaim the space, trying to prove to himself that he can be in this place without falling into the memory of better days. He's a good teacher. His students tell him so. Parents appreciate him. But at home, alone after Zoe goes to bed, the silence is so heavy it has weight. It settles in his chest and doesn't leave until morning. He's been staring at his coffee for 10 minutes before Luna asks her question. He didn't notice her struggle through the door. Didn't see the careful calculations she was making about where a girl with one leg might actually be welcome. That's what hits him hardest later, that he was so wrapped in his own sadness he almost missed her entirely. Zoe's observation breaks the pattern. His daughter sees what he's too lost to notice. And when he looks at Luna's face, when he sees that flicker of hope, followed by the armor slamming back down, something in Keon's chest cracks open just enough for him to say yes. He doesn't know that Luna spent 40 minutes this morning staring at the pills in her bathroom. He doesn't know that she almost didn't come to the cafe at all. What makes someone decide that today is the day they finally give up? Luna's hands shake as she sits, not from the physical effort of lowering herself into the chair, though that's always exhausting, always a performance that requires her to pretend it's easier than it is. The shaking comes from something deeper. From the surprise of kindness that actually happened, from expecting rejection and getting the opposite. Her crutches clatter against the table leg, too loud, too much noise in the gentle indie music floating through the cafe. "I'm sorry," she says immediately. "I can find another." "You're fine." Kian's voice is steady, warm without being patronizing. Zoe's already scooted over with the enthusiasm of a 6-year-old who's just made a new friend, her muffin forgotten on the plate. "I'm Kian, this is Zoe, and you are?" "Luna." The name feels strange in her mouth. She hasn't introduced herself to anyone in months. Back home, everyone knew her as the girl from the accident, the one who lost her family, the one with one leg. Here in Portland, she's been nobody, invisible, which felt safer until today. Zoe stares at her with the unself-conscious curiosity only children have. "Why do you have those stick things?" "Zoe." Kian starts, but Luna's already smiling. It's the first genuine smile she's produced in weeks. "They helped me walk. My name's Luna and I had an accident, lost my leg but I'm still here." The words surprise her. Usually she stutters through explanations, her story feeling like a burden she has to drag out for inspection. But something about this table, about Kian's calm acceptance and Zoe's innocent questions, makes the truth easier. "Does it hurt?" Zoe asks. "Sometimes. Not today, though." The lie slides out smooth. Today is supposed to be the day everything stops hurting because today is supposed to be the last day. But she doesn't say that. Instead, she wraps her hands around the coffee cup Kian's already ordered for her, and she lets the warmth seep into fingers that have been cold since autumn. Kian doesn't push for details. He just sits there, occasionally answering Zoe's questions about her school week, his presence feeling like a wall between Luna and the rest of the cafe. Like they're in their own small pocket of time where the rules are different. But Luna keeps checking her phone. The time is moving forward. It's 10:47 a.m. She needs to eat something. She needs to go back to the motel. She needs to prepare. What will Luna do when the moment finally comes to say goodbye to everything? The conversation deepens over the next 2 hours in ways Luna doesn't anticipate. Zoe eventually wanders off with her coloring book to a corner table where she can see them but doesn't interrupt, and suddenly Kian and Luna are alone in the space between their coffee cups. He asks simple questions. "Where are you from? What brings you to Portland?" Not invasive questions, nothing that demands she open her wounds. Just enough curiosity to make her feel like someone actually wants to know her answer. Luna finds herself talking, really talking. She tells him about the small town 2 hours south, about her parents, her dad a firefighter, her mom a pediatric nurse. Both of them knew how to save people. Both of them were good at it. She talks about Kennedy, her sister, who was obsessed with strawberry waffles and terrible at math and had a laugh that made strangers smile. She talks about the accident like she's reading someone else's tragedy, her voice staying steady even as her hands betray her, fingers tightening around the coffee cup until her knuckles go white. A house fire. Her parents were at the station when it happened, but Kennedy was home. Luna was home. They were in her room when the smoke started, and Luna pushed Kennedy toward the window, toward the fire escape, but the heat came faster than either of them expected. She remembers the sound Kennedy made, not screaming. Something worse than screaming. Something that sounded like breaking. Luna woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later. Kennedy never woke up. Her parents didn't survive the guilt, not really. 6 months of watching them move through their house like ghosts. 6 months of her mother forgetting what day it was, her father taking extra shifts because home was a tomb they couldn't leave. The explosion happened when the propane tank. Luna stops herself. The details don't matter. The result is the same. Kennedy gone. Her leg gone. Her parents gone 2 weeks ago in a car accident that might not have been an accident at all, though the police called it a mechanical failure. Luna's living with an aunt who doesn't know what to say to her. in a house that isn't home, with a future that stretches ahead like a hallway with no doors. Kian listens without interrupting. He just listens, and somewhere in that listening, Luna feels something shift. She's been talking to therapists and school counselors and concerned relatives, but they all wanted her to feel better. Kian just seems to want her to be heard. It's such a small thing. It shouldn't matter this much. I came to Portland because my family used to love it here, Luna says quietly. We'd come every summer. My dad would take too many photographs. My mom would drag us to farmers markets. Kennedy would complain about having to walk so much and then buy 5 different kinds of fruit she'd never eat. She looks out the window at the autumn blue sky. I thought if I came back, I could feel close to them again. Instead, I just feel alone in a place full of ghosts. Kian reaches across the table and touches her hand. Not a hug, not an embrace that requires her to perform gratitude. Just his palm against her skin, steady and warm. You're not alone right now, he says. And Luna believes him. For the first time in 6 months, she believes that someone actually sees her. That someone thinks her life still has value. That maybe, just maybe, the ending she'd planned for tonight doesn't have to be the ending at all. Maybe there's another option. Maybe there's someone who would miss her if she disappeared. But doubt creeps in anyway. Kian's kind, but kindness is temporary. He'll go home, live his life, and Luna will still be Luna. Still the girl with one leg. Still the girl who couldn't save her sister. Still the girl whose family died because the universe is cruel and indifferent. Will Luna's resolve hold, or will she still follow through with her plan when the sun goes down? The afternoon light shifts across the corner beam in golden slants that make everything look possible. Kian tells Luna about his divorce in fragments. The way you tell someone a story when you've never told it before, and you're not sure where to start. He talks about how Vera used to laugh at his terrible jokes. How that laugh was the reason he married her. How one day she stopped laughing, and when he asked her why, she said it wasn't about the jokes. It was about feeling trapped. About wanting more than a middle school teacher and a house in the suburbs and a life that looked exactly like everyone else's. He doesn't blame her. That's what strikes Luna the most. He doesn't make himself the victim of the story. He just acknowledges that sometimes people grow in different directions, and the person you married becomes someone you don't recognize, and you have to choose between holding on or letting go. He chose letting go. But it cost him everything familiar. And now he wakes up every morning wondering if he's doing enough for Zoe. If one parent who's trying is actually enough. It is, Luna says. She doesn't mean to speak, but the words come out anyway. You're here. You're listening. You asked me to sit down. That's enough. Kian smiles, and it's a real smile, not the practiced expression she's been seeing from adults all year. When Vera left, I didn't think I had anything left to give. I thought I was empty. But Zoe needed me to keep showing up, so I kept showing up. And somewhere in that showing up, I found that maybe I wasn't as empty as I thought. Luna nods, and for the first time in hours, she's not thinking about the motel room. She's not calculating how much time she has left. She's present in a way that feels dangerous, like if she lets herself actually hope, the fall will destroy her. It's 3:15 p.m. when Kian's phone buzzes. A reminder for Zoe's piano lesson at 4. He winces apologetically. Luna feels it coming before he says it. The ending. The moment when he has to leave. The moment when she'll be alone again with her plans and her pills and the quiet voice in her head that keeps telling her everyone would be better off without her. But before he stands, Kian writes his number on a napkin. If you ever need to talk, if Portland gets lonely, call me. Anytime, I mean that. Luna takes the napkin like it's made of paper-thin glass. His handwriting is steady. His number is real. This is real. As Kian helps Zoe gather her things, his daughter runs over and throws her arms around Luna's neck. Just like that. Simple. No performance required. Luna's eyes burn with tears she didn't expect, her body going rigid with the effort of not crying in the middle of the corner beam. You should come back tomorrow, Zoe says. Daddy makes really good pancakes. Kian gives Luna an apologetic look, but Luna's already nodding. Maybe I will. They leave and the cafe suddenly feels too big, too hollow. Luna sits alone at the table, the napkin with Kian's number folded in her palm. The motel room is waiting. The pills are waiting. Everything is still planned, still decided, still inevitable. But then she looks at Zoe's crumbs on the table, at the spot where Keon sat, at the napkin in her hand with a phone number of someone who wanted her to keep living. And something breaks open inside her. Will Luna actually show up for those pancakes tomorrow? Or will tonight be the night she finally disappears? Luna doesn't go to the motel room that night. Instead, she sits on a bench in Laurelhurst Park, watching the sun drop behind the Douglas firs, and she holds Keon's napkin in her hands like it's a lifeline. The pills are in her backpack. She'd taken them from her aunt's bathroom weeks ago, sitting them on the motel nightstand next to a half-written note that said nothing, because what could she possibly say that would make sense? How do you explain that the world's weight was too heavy to carry anymore, but Zoe's hug is still on her skin, Keon's voice saying anytime is still in her ears, and the napkin with 10 digits written in blue pen is proof that someone sees her as worth saving? Luna's phone shows 6:47 p.m. The motel clerk is probably wondering if she'll show up. The room is paid for. The plan was simple, organized, final. She'd researched it all, knew exactly how long it would take, had written the aunt a letter explaining that it wasn't her fault, that this decision had nothing to do with the aunt's kindness or effort. It was just that Luna was broken in a way that couldn't be fixed, and she was tired of pretending otherwise. Her thumb hovers over Keon's number on the napkin. What would she even say? That she was going to kill herself, but a 6-year-old girl's hug made her reconsider? That she's terrified because for the first time in months, she has something to lose again? That maybe, possibly, there could be a future that doesn't end today? The park is emptying as darkness falls, joggers finishing their evening runs, dog walkers heading home, families packing up picnic blankets, everyone moving toward something. Luna feels stuck between two worlds. The old world where Kennedy is dead and her parents are dead and she's alone. The new world where Keon exists and pancakes tomorrow could actually happen. She pulls out her phone, her fingers shake as she types. "Hi, it's Luna, from the cafe." She deletes it. Too formal. Tries again. "I'm at Laurelhurst Park. I don't know why I'm texting you." She deletes that too. Her hands won't stop shaking. Her chest feels tight like something is squeezing her from the inside. The truth is she doesn't call. Not yet. Instead, she calls her aunt. The aunt who's been trying so hard to help, who reads parenting books and asks how Luna's day was even though Luna usually says nothing. Who cried in the kitchen 3 days ago when she thought Luna couldn't hear her, crying because she didn't know how to save her niece. "Hi, Auntie," Luna says, and her voice cracks on the second word. "Luna? Where are you? I've been worried sick." "I'm okay. I'm at the park. I just needed to be somewhere quiet for a while, but I'm coming home. I'm going to come home, okay? I'm going to come home and maybe we could make some pancakes tomorrow?" Keon, this person I met, he makes really good pancakes and his daughter Zoe is funny and I think I want to try tomorrow. I think I want to try. The silence on the other end stretches for a moment and then her aunt is crying. Not the quiet crying from the kitchen. Full, broken sobs of relief and love and all the fear she's been holding in her body since Luna arrived at her door 3 months ago, like a ghost that might blow away. "Yes. Yes. We'll make pancakes. We'll make whatever you want. Just come home, baby. Come home." Luna ends the call and sits in the dark with the napkin in her hand and the pills still in her backpack. She doesn't throw the pills away yet. That feels too final in the wrong direction. But she stands up. She walks toward the park exit. She starts moving toward home instead of toward ending. What will happen when Luna actually shows up at Keon's door and takes her first real step toward living? Keon doesn't expect to see Luna again. That's what he tells himself as he makes pancakes at 7 in the morning on Sunday, mixing flour and eggs with more hope than logic. Zoe asked about her all through dinner yesterday, and he made a non-committal noise that meant maybe while actually expecting no. People make promises in emotional moments, and then reality hits, and they remember all the reasons that strangers should stay strangers. He's been teaching for 12 years. He knows how people work. How good intentions collapse under the weight of their own lives. How a moment of connection can feel like everything and then dissolve into nothing like it never happened at all. The doorbell rings at 7:43 a.m. Keon's holding a spatula and a bowl of batter. He's wearing the old t-shirt with a coffee stain from last month. His hair isn't even combed. He opens the door, and there's Luna, and behind her is a woman who must be her aunt, both of them looking uncertain like they're trespassing on something sacred. "We brought strawberry jam," Luna says. "Zoe said you like to put strawberry jam in yours. My sister used to." She stops herself. She used to like strawberries, so we thought maybe we'd bring some. Keon doesn't move for a second. He's still processing that she's actually here, that she showed up, that she's not just a moment of kindness that dissolved in the darkness. She's standing on his doorstep on Sunday morning with a jar of jam and hope written all over her face. "Come in," he says. "Please." Zoe emerges from the living room already dressed, somehow knowing that Luna was coming even though no one told her. She throws her arms around Luna like they're old friends, and Luna holds her tight, and Keon watches something settle in his chest. Some tension he didn't know he was carrying. The aunt, her name is Diane, helps Keon finish the pancakes while Luna and Zoe sit at the kitchen table, and something shifts in the room. This isn't a stranger situation anymore. It's becoming something else, something that feels like it could grow into more than a single moment, something that could sustain itself. They sit down to eat. Zoe talks about school. Diane tells a funny story about her job as a nurse. Luna laughs at the right moments, and her laugh is different than it was in the cafe. Lighter, like she's remembering how to let joy in without expecting it to be taken away immediately. But then Keon notices Luna's hands. They're not steady, not trembling like before, but not confident either. And when she looks at him, there's something in her eyes that he recognizes because he sees it in the mirror sometimes. The look of someone who's been to the edge and is still deciding whether they want to step back. After breakfast, while Diane and Zoe are in the living room building a fort out of blankets, Luna and Keon stand in the kitchen doing dishes. She's quiet for a long time, and he doesn't push. He just hands her plates to dry and waits. "I almost didn't come," she finally says. "This morning, I almost stayed in bed. I almost decided that showing up was too scary and it would be easier to just go back to the motel and finish what I started." Keon's hands go still in the soapy water. He doesn't say anything, because there's nothing to say that hasn't already been said 1,000 times in therapy offices and crisis hotlines and hospital waiting rooms. Luna continues. "But then Zoe knocked on my door in my head. Not actually, in my head. And she said, 'You promised you'd come back.' And I couldn't break a promise to a 6-year-old who gave me a hug like she actually meant it. So I got up, I took a shower, I put on clean clothes, and I came here." She looks at him directly now. "I still have the pills. They're in my backpack. I haven't decided yet if I'm throwing them away or keeping them. But I'm here today. That's what I can promise. I'm here today, and maybe tomorrow I'll be able to promise tomorrow too." Keon dries his hands and turns to face her. He doesn't touch her, doesn't make this about comfort, he just meets her eyes and nods. "Then we'll take it one day at a time, starting with today." But even as he says it, Keon knows this is far from over. Luna is still standing at the edge of the cliff. One setback, one hard moment, one night alone in a dark room could still send her over. And he's just a middle school teacher. He's not equipped to be her lifeline. What happens when Luna faces the first real test of her commitment to staying alive? The first real test comes 4 days later. Luna's been staying with Diane instead of the motel, spending afternoons at Keon's house while Zoe is home from school. She's been eating actual meals. She's been laughing at Zoe's jokes. She's been taking walks through the neighborhood and sitting in cafes that aren't the corner bean. For 4 days, she's been building a routine that looks like living. Then Thursday morning, her phone rings. It's the detective handling her parents' car accident investigation. There's been a development, a forensics report. Something about brake lines that doesn't add up to mechanical failure. Luna takes the call in Keon's guest room, and when she comes downstairs an hour later, she looks like she's been shattered and reassembled incorrectly. The detective thinks her parents might have deliberately caused the accident, that it wasn't a malfunction at all, that they checked out on purpose together because the grief was too much. She sits at Keon's kitchen table, and the words come out like she's reading from a script. They left me. They left me alone. And they didn't even say goodbye. They just decided that Kennedy was more important than me, that their pain was more important than keeping me alive. Kian sits across from her and lets her cry. He doesn't try to convince her that her parents' death wasn't about her. He doesn't use the logic that grief makes people do irrational things. He just sits there while Luna breaks open again, while the progress of the past 4 days seems to crumble like it meant nothing. The pills are still in my backpack, Luna says quietly. I never threw them away. I kept them because part of me knew I'd need them again. This is too much. Losing them once was already more than I can carry. Losing them twice is impossible. Kian reaches across the table, and this time he does touch her. He takes her hands, and his hands are steady, and maybe that steadiness is enough to anchor her for another moment. You want to know what I learned when Vera left? He says. I learned that sometimes the people you love make choices that have nothing to do with you. You can love someone completely, and they can still leave. Your parents loved you, Luna. But their pain was about them, not about you. And your survival isn't about honoring their choices. It's about you deciding that your life matters enough to keep living it. Luna shakes her head. How do I do that? How do I keep living when everything feels like a mistake? One day at a time. One moment at a time. You don't have to promise forever. You just have to promise right now. You just have to say yes to the next breath. That night, Luna does throw the pills away. Not because she's suddenly healed. Not because she's convinced that everything will be okay. But because Kian sits next to her while she empties them into the toilet, and Zoe falls asleep with her head on Luna's lap on the couch, and somehow that's enough. Somehow that small weight, a child trusting her enough to sleep, is heavier than the weight of the pills. Diane makes tea. Kian puts on a movie. And Luna stays. She stays in the living room of a man she barely knew a week ago, and she lets herself be held by the simple act of being present. But Luna knows that one day at a time can only last for so long. Eventually, she has to figure out what her life actually looks like, where she lives, what she does, how she builds a future that doesn't revolve around a single kind man and his daughter. Will Luna be able to stand on her own, or will she collapse again when Kian can't be there to catch her? 3 weeks pass like a secret. Luna moves through the days with the tentative confidence of someone learning to walk again, which she is, in more ways than one. She started physical therapy to strengthen her residual limb, getting fitted for a prosthetic leg that will take time to adjust to. She's going to school part-time, finishing her senior year through an online program. She's applied to 3 colleges with veterinary science programs, the dream she thought died in the fire, but that Kian kept asking about until she admitted it was still alive inside her. She's also become part of Kian's life in ways that neither of them planned. Zoe insists on it. When Luna isn't there, Zoe draws pictures of her. When Luna is there, Zoe's entire body relaxes like she's been holding her breath and can finally exhale. And Kian watches his daughter heal too, watches her learn that kindness isn't fragile, that it can hold someone else's weight without breaking. They haven't kissed. They haven't crossed any lines that would complicate things beyond what they already are. But there's something building, a trust that goes deeper than attraction. A partnership that started with a single question at a coffee shop and has grown into something neither of them expected. Luna sits in Kian's kitchen on a Tuesday evening, waiting for Zoe to get home from school, when her phone buzzes. It's a college acceptance letter. Early acceptance to Portland State. Full scholarship with additional funding for disability services. The dream is suddenly real in a way that requires her to actually commit to building a future. She cries. Not the broken kind of crying anymore. The kind that comes from joy mixed with fear, from possibility mixed with the weight of responsibility. Kian holds her. And they don't need to talk about what this means. Both of them understand that Luna is choosing to stay. That she's choosing life. That she's choosing Portland and college. And maybe, if he's lucky, she's choosing him too. When Zoe gets home and Luna tells her the news, Zoe does what Zoe does. She throws her arms around Luna and jumps up and down and declares that they have to celebrate with ice cream and that Cheeto the hamster needs to know, because Cheeto loves celebrations. Life looks different now. It looks like morning pancakes and homework help, and the quiet knowledge that someone cares whether Luna comes home at night. It looks like a girl with one leg and a prosthetic in the early stages of adjustment, learning that her body can still do things. It looks like hope that's fragile but present. But standing in Keon's kitchen with both of these people she's come to love more than she thought possible, Luna knows that this story isn't really about her and Keon. It's not a love story in the traditional sense. It's a story about the moment someone chose to ask a question instead of walk past. It's a story about what happens when one small act of kindness becomes a lifeline. Do you have someone in your life who's waiting for an invitation to sit at your table? 6 months later, the corner bean is decorated with streamers and handmade signs that Zoe painted during art class. It's Luna's 19th birthday, and Keon has organized a small gathering. Diane is there with her boyfriend, 3 of Luna's classmates from her online school program, her physical therapist who's become a friend, and Zoe, who insisted on wearing her best dress and carefully wrote, "Happy Birthday, Luna," on a banner that's only slightly crooked. Luna walks into the cafe on her prosthetic leg, still adjusting to the weight and the movement, still some days choosing crutches when she's tired. But today she walks because today feels like the kind of day that deserves walking. She's stronger now. Her leg is adjusting. Her prosthetic is becoming part of her instead of something she's fighting against. She's also enrolled in Portland State. She starts in the fall. She's moved into a small apartment with Diane, who wanted to stay in Portland instead of going back out of state. She's volunteering at an animal shelter 3 days a week, getting experience for her veterinary science program. She's building a life that looks like something she actually wants to live. But the real thing, the thing that nobody talks about but everyone notices, is the way she looks at Keon, the way he looks back. A year ago, they were strangers in a coffee shop. 6 months ago, she was learning to survive again. Now she's learning to love again. Learning that it's possible to lose everything and still build something new. Keon gives a small speech, not the kind that makes everything sound resolved and perfect, but the kind that acknowledges the darkness was real, and the climb is real, and she's still climbing. He talks about how a single question changed everything. He talks about how kindness isn't about fixing someone, but about standing beside them while they figure out how to fix themselves. Luna cries in front of everyone, and Zoe hands her a napkin because apparently Zoe learned that from Luna, who always brings napkins to the cafe now. Kennedy never gets forgotten. Her parents' memory stays part of Luna's story. But the story doesn't end with them anymore. The story keeps going, keeps building, keeps becoming something more. After the celebration, after everyone goes home, Keon and Luna sit at the table by the window, the same table where they met. The autumn sky is the same blue it was that first morning. The cafe smells the same. Everything looks exactly the same and completely different. "I have something for you," Keon says. He pulls out a small envelope. Inside is a photograph. It's Luna on her first day of physical therapy, and she's smiling even though you can see it hurts. Under the photo, he's written a date and a single sentence: "The day you decided to keep walking." Luna holds the photograph and understands what Keon is saying, that he sees her, that he witnessed the moment she chose life, that every day since then has been her deciding to keep walking, and he's just there beside her, not to carry her, but to make sure she knows she's not alone. Outside, Portland continues its evening routine. People walk past the window heading toward their own stories. Some of them are struggling. Some of them are breaking. Some of them are sitting at tables wondering if anyone would notice if they asked to sit down with someone else. The answer is yes. Someone will notice. Someone will see you. And sometimes all you need is one person to say yes to one simple question. Can I share your table? This is a story about what happens when one person chooses kindness. It's a story about redemption and healing and the power of showing up. But more than anything, it's a story about you. About the choice you make every single day to either close yourself off to others or to open yourself up to the possibility that someone else needs you more than you know. If this story touched your heart, if you found yourself seeing your own struggle in Luna's journey or your own capacity for kindness in Kian's choice, then do this for me. Subscribe to this channel, turn on your notifications, because every week we share stories like this one. Stories about real people making real choices that change everything. Stories about the unexpected power of human connection. And please, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been the person asking to sit at someone's table? Have you ever been the person who said yes? Have you ever noticed someone who needed to be seen? Your stories matter. Your words inspire others who are standing exactly where Luna stood, looking for a sign that they're worth saving. You could be that sign for someone today. You could be the person who changes everything with a single question. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in the power of kindness. And thank you for reminding the world that we are never, ever truly alone.